They pushed and pushed for so long. They knew I was something dangerous, something different. Sooner or later, they had to know I would snap and come to cut them down. Or perhaps they think I'm still a child. The fools. Alexander was a child when he ruined his First Nation. Mike, today we're going to be talking about the first book in Pierce Brown's Red Rising Saga, coincidentally named Red Rising. Now, there is going to be a slight format change here from my usual book review. If this is your first time finding the channel, usually this is the point where I tell you that all of my book reviews are spoiler heavy, but since I got some feedback on that and some people want to be sold on some of these books, I guess I'll do a few minutes of non-spoiler talk at the beginning of these, and then I get into spoilers. I'll let you know when that happens. Also, I do Let's Discuss segments that are spoiler-free, but all of my book reviews, even with this new added layer, I will be going over key points in plot. So if you have not read Red Rising, watch up until I tell you that spoilers are starting, then bookmark this video and come back after you do. With that said, let's get into it. A little of non-spoiler thoughts here. I had been told about this series for a couple years now. When I saw the covers, I just assumed that they were Hunger Games knockoffs. Might seem a little ignorant, but that's what I saw. With that, it kind of came I believe that they were just, YA books. And if you've watched or listened to any of my reviews, you know that I am not crazy about that genre. In a Twitter conversation one day while recommending books to a friend of mine, what's up, Armin, he recommended back then that I give Red Rising a try. And I told him, I've heard good things, but I really don't do the YA thing. And he immediately snapped back at me, yo, they are not YA books. And then the author himself even chimed in on this conversation and kind of sold them to me. So long story short, I decided to give them a go while I am on my Wheel of Time hiatus. So here are my non-spoiler thoughts. It's easy to tell this is Pierce Brown's first published book. And let me get this out up front. Pierce Brown is a better writer than I will ever be. Try to understand it when I say stuff like that. All of my criticism on these videos are meant to be constructive in nature. There is no vitriol in my reviews. I will DNF a book before I just come on here to trash the author and especially point out their writing talents. All these guys are better writers than me. It's very, very honest criticism when I say I could tell this is his first published book because it had a lot of issues for me, more than just the pacing. But, after letting it sit for a few days after I finished, I decided I think that the good outweighs the bad on this one. And I was actually excited to pick up book 2. But, I guess the real problem for me with this book is that it feels like it's borrowing way too much from other stories that I've read before. I went into this wanting something kind of Ender's Game in style off of the description that I got. I said, okay, that sounds kind of Ender's Gamey. I like that. Instead, I got the Hunger Games knockoff vibe that I was afraid of. The first third of this book, man, it's all the sci-fi goodness that I was wanting. I was loving it. And then it shifts into this, let's play a high-stakes game between students where a lot of them are going to die for the rest of the book. Let me reiterate that I do not think that this is a bad book. Not at all. It just was not what I was hoping for going in. So that's a me problem, guys. That's a me problem. If you don't go into it with any type of expectations, you're probably going to be just fine and have a good time with this. Especially if you're one of those who did not like how Hunger Games went. You might like this better. I just thought that Brown was borrowing a little too much from Hunger Games and The Lord of the Flies. And, both of those I think are better books than this one. But that's, my main issues that I can talk about really without spoiling. The good is that it's a really great start. I like this world. I want to know more about the lore and the backstory. Most of the supporting characters are really likable. Even if some of them just kind of seem like they're just there for fodder, still, it makes you like a lot of them before the inevitable happens. But there are some legit jaw-dropping twists in here. So while I say that it is not YA, I would describe it as an adult writing about teenagers. So it's kind of like a little gray area right there. So, okay, spoiler warning, guys. I'm going to get into spoilers now, so I will give you a couple seconds to pause the video or exit the video here. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the gist of the story is Darrow. Up front, I do not listen to the audiobooks, so if I pronounce any names wrong, sorry, that's just how it went. That's how I read it. Darrow is our protagonist. He is a slave on Mars that works in the mines. He believes he's kind of doing it for the future of mankind, so they can terraform the planet and humanity can survive there after Earth is tapped out on all its resources. This is nothing new out of science fiction. This is an age-old kind of thing there, so I'm okay. I'm having a good time so far. But some bad things happen. Him and his wife are hung and they're presumably killed for breaking these rules. And she actually dies, but Darrow somehow lives. You find out later how. He undergoes a transformation of his face and body to go undercover in this upper society that he didn't even know exists. Turns out Mars has been terraformed and colonized for hundreds of years now. And they've just been living off the backs of, these Reds, as they call them. Everything works off this color system. It dictates your station in life. Reds are at the very bottom of the pyramid, and golds are all the way at the top. That's the first part of the book I loved, where he's being what Brown describes as being carved. Basically, it's like super plastic surgery and all types of advancements to pass as one of these golds. It's funded by this terrorist group or resistance group, depending on where you stand on these kind of things. They go by the name of the Sons of Ares. So again, I'm kind of getting some Percy Jackson vibe off here with all the Greek stuff. But you know what? Percy Jackson have rights to Greek mythology. Greek mythology has rights to Greek mythology. But after he has like a rigorous training and everything, from book learning to dancing to physical attributes and fighting and sparring. So he's a totally different man by the time he enters the Institute, which is a school where the golds see who is the best of the best with honors. Turns out it's super serious because they decide to thin the herd, and what they have is a little event called the Passage. And here's one of those first twists in the book where I'm like, whoa, okay. They're going real like Star Trek original series here, where the top prospects are thrown in confinement with basically the top 50 prospects are thrown in with the top 50 lower prospects. So you got a 1 seed versus a 16 seed here, basically. And they don't leave until one kills the other one. So the hook to all this is that Darrow has to kill the younger brother of Cassius, Julian, which is a boy he has befriended at this institute. And this is something that lasts for the first half of the book, as Darrow tries to keep it a secret from Cassius, and he even plants seeds with him that it was Titus that was the one that killed his brother and stuff, one of those other students. So got some little seeds to sow there, but now we get to the big part of the book, and it's the 74th Annual Hunger Games! I mean, not really, but it's tough to shake that feeling. The students are all sorted into houses, and there's no sorting hat or anything like that, but they basically play the deadliest version of Capture the Flag ever. The goal is to, as they put it, make one house out of many. There's 12 houses, and you got to either, through partnerships or taking slaves or just conquering everyone, you've got to be the last one standing. And the thing is, they aren't supposed to kill until, I think he puts it as it is inevitable or accidental. But spoiler, things go south faster than in Lord of the Flies. You've got students that are cannibalizing classmates to survive. You got some that are outright deserting. And you even have Titus that I mentioned a little bit ago. He starts raping and killing fellow members of his house. So yeah, things get dark, and they get dark quickly. It's amazing what a little hunger and cold will do to you. And basically, just like Lord of the Flies, you see things go down to a primal level really, really quick. So Darrow, he befriends a short, ugly little kid named Severo, which is kind of a fan favorite, I'm gathering at this point, because I said that I like Severo, and my friend Arnold was like, well, yeah, if you don't, there's something wrong with you. So he becomes his bestie, makes a temporary alliance with Mustang of House Minerva, and they take this fortress from Titus. And when Darrow is then interrogating Titus after he's captured, he discovers that he is an undercover Red too. So yeah, that one surprised me. That one got me quite a bit. He lets Cassius believe that Titus was the one that killed his brother. So then he lets Cassius duel him as punishment and murder the shit out of him. So there he's like, hey, 2 birds with 1 stone. This guy's not going to find out that I'm a Red too. And, cool, Cassius thinks that he's gotten his revenge. So yeah, I ain't got to worry about that one anymore. This kind of chaos just goes on and on, in my opinion, for too many pages. But it all culminates with Cassius learning the truth about Darrow killing his brother in the Passage, and he challenges Darrow to a duel and leaves him to die with a stomach wound out in the middle of nowhere. While I think that was a great scene and the tension was really cranked to 11, I kind of wanted the secret to be held on to longer. I really felt like this was something he was building on, and maybe like book 3 or something we were going to find out about that. But, if this wasn't a planned trilogy from go, I get why Brown didn't want to leave that big of a plot thread, hanging open. The rest of the book, it's a lot of sieges, broken alliances, death, lots of backstabbing, literally and figuratively. Darrow, he predictably falls for Mustang. The love story, meh. On this, he's still really in love with his dead wife, so, whatever. Severo starts this group of wildlings called the Howlers. That's a lot of fun, especially when they like hide inside of horse guts and get stitched up in there to be like a surprise. Maybe think of something from like Braveheart or something. But we turn our focus to one of the students that's referred to as the Jackal, which turns out to be the favorite to win the tournament because his father is none other than the Arch-Governor of Mars. The Arch-Governor is also, I didn't mention it earlier, the one who hung and killed Darrow's wife. So, there's a little extra, juice in that one. He is also the student who's cannibalizing others in his house to survive, and apparently that's the one thing that's over the line in this world, I'm skimming here, but there's a ton of side characters. I can't get into them all, and lots of backstabbing and all that. So I'll just really say I really like Severo. I like Pax a lot, even if you could just tell he was just a heavy. And you knew he was going to meet an end probably. And I also liked Roke. It kind of seems like his, like, I don't want to say like court jester, but almost like his advisor. Like if you've read the Witcher books, he kind of makes me think of Dandelion. He's always talking about poetry and stuff. But the rest are kind of filler for me. They're good. They're good. It's just I'm like, in a story like this, I'm not wanting to get too attached to any of these characters. I know they're probably going to die. So I try to keep that wall up for most of the book. As far as Darrow, there are some things I don't like about him. It's kind of the same things I didn't like about Kavoth. I always say that name wrong. Kavoth in The Name of the Wind. In that he's just so intelligent and he never gets outsmarted and he always wins, but not in like an Ender Wiggin way. He doesn't always win like that. It's just, it makes it seem like, oh, I can see what's going on here. And it's just, the real problem I have with this book is it's written in first person. In my Prince of Thorns review, I went on a rant there. You can see there, I talked about why first person narrative bothers me, and it's cranked to 11 in this book. When your story is written in first person, yet you throw this trump card to win something to the reader that you didn't already know about somehow, even though you're inside their head the whole time, but you didn't know about this crazy little one-up they have, it seems like lazy writing, Deus Ex Machina, but that's the real problem of first person in a book like this. You can't really have the shocking twists and turns from your main character because the reader's in the hero's head. Ugh, it just annoys me. It's a me problem, and I'm derailing big time here. Basically, Darrow finds out that the house proctors that oversee the event are rigging things just a little bit so that the Jackal will win. And this leads Darrow to start a revolution against them and take them over. He even kills one of them, stabs him in the eye a few times. Pretty brutal. So he essentially breaks the game. And he forces victory, which makes him being named the winner and accepting his role as Lancer for House Augustus, next to the man who murdered his wife. And I forgot, he does see Cassius again after that. And he's hoping, okay, we can bury the hatchet, but instead Cassius, really gross, he bites a scab off his hand, sucks the blood, spits it in Darrow's face, and declares a blood feud. So I'm thinking we will be seeing these two go at it for the rest of the series, since it's also revealed that through the book that Cassius House Bologna, I always want to say Bologna, Cassius's house is the sworn enemy of House Augustus. So you got some warring little Dune thing going there, Harkonnen, Atreides. So big Dune fan, so it's hard for me not to see that parallel as well. So I think I mentioned already what I didn't care for in this. But I did like a lot of the twists. The Titus one was the most surprising. How many of these Reds have the Sons of Ares got going out there? I think that's the big thing. I mean, you went through it thinking, okay, Dancer had told Darrow that a lot of the people that try to do this die, but you're going to be different, and so you don't think that anybody really has gotten this far, at least not to get into the Institute like him. So if someone else is already in there, man, who else? Shit, could one of these other ones that he's befriended be undercover Reds too? That'd be crazy. So it's kind of like that Battlestar Galactica thing. Like, are you a Cylon? You could be a Cylon. So I like that. I like that's really, really good. There's really good stuff in here that I feel like probably could have been saved in the editing room, really. It's not a long book, but I think the contest does go a little too long for my tastes. I did want to mention before I go that I did like the one another twist that I forgot to mention about is Darrow seeing past the Jackal's ruse. And, he's pointing out all the house rings before he says, I don't really have like a Pluto one. I don't think I've ever seen Pluto. Oh, there it is. I thought that was a really, really cool reveal because I didn't catch it. That was a Jackal. So that was not really cool. But I did like enough in this in the end to keep going. Like I said, I was really upset with it reading through it, and I was like, man, this is the most overrated book I've read since Name of the Wind. I'll get into Name of the Wind one day. But I don't know. I liked it enough after waiting a couple of days and be like, you were just being picky because it's not what you wanted. Like I said, I wanted Ender's Game and I got Hunger Games. A lot more games of Ender, a lot less games of Hunger is what I want in book 2, Golden Sun. But I am excited to start it. Which leads me to explain why I'm shifting my planned reading order a bit. I was in a rotation of numerous series, Prince of Thorns, Lightbringer. I can't even remember all the ones I'm doing right now, but I'm doing a lot of book 1s. I was going to cycle through all those, and then I was going to do all the book 2s, and so on up. But it turns out Pierce Brown, the author of this book, is coming to a book signing here in about 5 weeks. And I am going to that, so I was like, I think I want to try to knock these book outs before they get there to avoid spoilers, because I'm sure, there's a discussion there. He's going to be talking about book 5 that's coming out now. So he's going to be talking about it. Other people there are going to be talking about it. I'm sure the guy I'm going with is going to want to talk about it. So I said, I'm going to go ahead and move these up and try to knock these out before I go. But, I've already finished book 1 of Brent Weeks' Lightbringer, so I'll be getting that review out soon. And I'll be doing all the Red Rising books right after that. The good news is these are really easy reads. I read this in about 3 days. I don't imagine that it won't take me past like 4th of July weekend probably to be current on these. So look for those reviews soon. And the best way to do that is to help me out by hitting that subscribe button. The channel is growing. We're slowly climbing towards that goal of 500 subscribers. I know that don't sound like a lot to some people, but for just a guy like me, that's quite a bit. And when you get past 500 subscribers, you can start to beat YouTube's shitty algorithm that won't allow videos to show up in a basic search. So if you like this video, please subscribe and check out the other content in the channel. I do a book review or a Let's Discuss segment every single week, sometimes 2 a week. And we do a live show once or twice. I'd say probably about 3 times a month right now. When there's not a lot of news going on, we don't do it every week. But we do a live show about everything relevant that happened over the past week in geek pop culture media. So please hit subscribe and share these with your friends, and I will talk to you guys soon.